Hello everyone, welcome to my channel The Blood Oath. In this channel, I will be discussing theories, alternate endings, fan fictions, and reviews of the fantasy genre. For example, the world of A Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, MCU, DCU, Lord of the Rings, etc. In the first video, I will be delving into the world of A Song of Ice and Fire and I will pick out one of its gems, Robert's Rebellion. It is a war that overthrew the Targaryens and their 300 years rule in Westeros. There are some pretty super shady things about the rebellion in whole in the books. So in this part I will be trying to clear the misunderstanding people have about that. Upon a detailed examination of the timeline of Robert's Rebellion, one begins to notice the gaps in the timeline and also that the rebels should never have won. Their victory was impossible in terms of logistics. I will split it into four parts: the Meriwether phase, the Connington phase, the Chelstead phase, and the Rosart phase. I decided to name the phases of the war after Aerys's hands because they all correspond to distinctly different parts of the war, and it is the simplest way to do it. This video only covers the details of the Meriwether phase. This phase covers the time between the deaths of Rickard and Brandon Stark and Brandon's companions Kyle Royce, Albert Aaron, and Jeffrey Mallister at the hands of Aerys until the Battle of Asford. Our current timeline of events goes something like this. Aerys Targaryen executes Brandon and Rickard and Brandon's companions. Brandon's companions are very important here because they all belong to very powerful houses. Kyle Royce was a member of House Royce of Runestone. Albert Aaron was the heir to the Eyrie, and Jeffrey Mallister was related to the Mallisters of the Sea Guard, a very prominent house of the Riverlands. After the execution of Brandon and Rickard, the timeline goes something like this. Aerys orders Jon Arryn to execute Ned Stark and Robert Baratheon. Jon Arryn, Ned Stark, and Robert Baratheon rise in rebellion. Then the Battle of Gulltown, then the Battle of Summerhall, then Robert returned to Storm's End, and lastly the Battle of Asford. As such, the primary question that I will aim to answer are: why was Owen Meriwether so ineffective? Why did Robert return to Storm's End? And why did the Arryns took so long to arrive in the Riverlands? They will be divided into three parts. And the first part: why was Owen Meriwether so ineffective? Owen Meriwether was stripped of his lands and executed for his failure to stop Robert's rebellion early in the war. The initial revolt was concentrated in the Vale and the Riverlands, where House Arryn, House Royce, and House Mallister all rose against the crown, joined by the future Lords Declarant, the Houses Waynwood, Hunter, Redfort, Belmore, and Templeton. Against them stood Houses Darry, Vance, Bracken, Corbray, and Grafton, as well as many more minor houses of both Vale and the Riverlands. Whilst Ned Stark sailed north from the Fingers, Robert Baratheon and Jon Arryn led the taking of Gulltown in a fierce battle where Robert showed his prowess. The taking of Gulltown allowed Robert to sail south to the Stormlands. House Corbray bent the knee to House Arryn soon after. Meriwether's ineffectiveness here is primarily due to the numbers. The Riverlands were little more than a standoff, but in the Vale, the rebels had roughly a 2-1 advantage. Whilst the Vale is usually written off as a rebel stronghold, it seems there was more loyalist resistance than usually believed. The other issue, the lack of naval blockade preventing Robert from escaping, was hardly the fault of Meriwether. It was due to Valerian disloyalty. House Valerian is one of the most powerful naval houses of the realm. They are sewn directly to Dragonstone. But my guess is that they were part of the rebels during the rebellion because the Targaryens had shunned them after the Dance of the Dragons. The second part of the Meriwether phase was focused on the Stormlands. Here, the Loyalists had a minimum of 2-1 advantage. Meriwether's strategy here seems to be focused on finding Rhaegar Targaryen, the Crown Prince, a symbol who could unite the disparate Targaryen factions and defeat Robert in the Stormlands. Summerhall was one of Rhaegar's favorite places to visit, and it appears that Meriwether's plan with ordering the lords Grandison, Caffron, and Fell to rally at Summerhall was to create an army in the Stormlands for Rhaegar to lead, which could then march on Storm's End, the ancestral seat of House Baratheon. But we can call it Meriwether's bad luck that Robert caught wind of his plans and marched with all the strength he could muster to Summerhall, where he did the unthinkable. He won 3 battles in one day, which is insane even for Robert Baratheon, the demon of the trident. Then Robert returned to Storm's End. His reasons to return to Storm's End are likely threefold. The first reason is to meet up with fellow rebel lords such as the Estremonts and Morrigans. The second is to have somewhere to imprison the captured loyalist lords so they couldn't rise against him again. And the third is that there was nowhere else to go. The Riverlands were still dominated by the Loyalists. The Vale was still embroiled in the war, with the remaining Loyalists being brought to heel, and in all other directions there was only Loyalist forces. With the triumph of rebel lords in the Vale and Ned Stark beginning to muster an army in the north, Robert finally had a chance to meet with his new allies. Now joined by the Estremonts and Morrigans, as well as the Grandisons, Caffrons, and Fells, Robert turned west, marching into the Reach. My best estimate is that at this point, Robert had about 10 to 12k men. By now, House Tyrell had also assembled an army in the Reach, numbering about 55k men. Robert and the Tyrells met in the Battle of Asford. Here, Randyll Tarly defeated Robert Baratheon, which is Robert's only defeat in his entire life. But Randyll Tarly's victory here is often overstated. Whilst he did defeat Robert, all he had to do was to hold Robert off until Robert had to retreat due to the vast numerical disparity. Despite me undermining Randyll's victory, Robert still suffered significant casualties and was forced to flee north with less than 5k men. So, to answer our 3 initial questions, Owen Meriwether was unlucky, not ineffective. Robert Baratheon returned to Storm's End out of necessity, and the Arryns didn't arrive in the Riverlands earlier as the Vale was more loyalist than usually believed. So this will be all in this video. We will meet soon with the second phase of Robert's Rebellion in our next video. Stay tuned, and if you like the content, please like, share and subscribe our channel. Adios.